Hi guys. In the process of moving into the new place and getting the studio in place as well, which is more precise, this is the gaming room. This is the room that has been put aside in the new house for gaming. So we're going to get a nice big table here. We're going to have some videos of games going on, such and so forth. It's going to be a great time. And hopefully we're going to get some guys to come down here and play some games, whether it be card games, board games, tabletop games, and if I'm really lucky, some of them might be brave enough to go on the camera. However, we're not talking about me today, we're talking about somebody else. Basically, I was just watching some videos and Hammeredshitsteak basically jumped on the bandwagon, which is something I'm probably going to do in the future, so I can't give him any crap over it. And he says there's been a lot of Q&As in the brigade at the moment, and he's 100% right. There has been a lot of Q&As for the brigade. So this video is not about me, despite the fact that I am my favourite topic at the moment. But there you go. He said I've got three questions for Hammeredshitsteak for his Q&A, and hopefully I'll get some entertaining answers. Right, first things first. I'd like to know what part of your RPG collection can you not live without? As in, like, say for example you had to sell everything. What would be the hardest thing to get rid of? Or what would be the one thing that you actually say to yourself, I can never sell this? For me, it's my Ravenloft collection. I love this stuff to death. And while I don't actively play it anymore, I still love to read it. I still love to write for it. I really do enjoy the setting, and I'm looking forward to the possibility we may actually get a new updated version of it in 4th edition. No, 5th edition, my mistake. But for the time being, this is my bread and butter. I do have literally everything for the line apart from one book, and I know it's out there publicly to buy, but it's like 60 quid, which is what, $90? And that's a lot of money for a book I'm never going to use, because it is literally, the reason why it's not been in my collection to this point is because I've never needed it. I don't think I ever will need it, but it's the final piece of the puzzle, and I'm wrestling with the idea that I want it, but I've just moved into a new house, and I need to basically do that instead. Okay, question the second. What is the game which has most pleasantly surprised you recently? As in it's exceeded your expectations, whether or not you went into it not liking the idea or not feeling empowered by the idea, or you just had a so-so attitude to it, but when you started reading it or you played it, you had so much fun. Right, for me, has been my recent acquisition of Crypts and Things by D101 Games. I'll do a full review on this in the future when I get back into doing proper reviews, which hopefully should be very, very soon. The camera and the tripod and such and so forth are all getting set up on everything else. And this, for me, embodies how to do a D&D clone, as a first edition D&D clone, but do it differently, because a lot of the things I'm seeing at the moment in clone territory is what they're trying to do is basically do an exact copy of the game, and this doesn't do that. This basically takes the existing idea of a D&D clone and goes, you know what, let's do it in the Conan-esque world, you know, those kind of authors, those kind of stories. And so far, really enjoying playing it, really enjoying reading it, I'm hoping to start writing for it at some point in the very near future, and of course there will be a video about this at some point. Okay, question the third, and this is the final question. Which game has disappointed you the most, whether or not it's a case of you went into it gun-ho and you were really upset about it, or again you were a bit middling about it and then you thought, well actually, maybe in my opinion even middling was a bit embarrassing, or the game you've fallen out of love with. The game you did like in the past, but you've fallen out of love with. And for me, Rogue Trader. Rogue Trader, for me, epitomises everything which is wrong about the Warhammer 40,000 universe RPGs right now. In the fact is that it... First of all, it's shackled to the Dark Heresy version of the game, which is horribly, horribly out of date now, and it has been outshined in such a short space of time by Omni War and Black Crusade, which, while having the same mechanical system on paper, do better character creation, and some of the rules do make a bit more sense, and overall the game feels nice to play. It's less clunky. The fact is that Rogue Trader also suffers from one of the biggest sins in gaming history, as it were. In fact, it heavily relies on additional material, because there is not enough material in here to, in my opinion, make a good game. The gear and such and so forth is not all that impressive, all that expansive, considering the topic at hand. Rogue traders, merchants, and such and so forth. Brigadiers, privateers. There's so much scope, and it doesn't get explained. And the biggest crime of all, the absolute biggest crime of all, is you have character classes and concepts within this book which do not make sense. Right, we all know the hoo-ha about deckers in Cyberpunk and such and so forth, and Shadowrun, which basically grind the game to a screeching halt. And how you find yourself, if you're playing one of those characters, in the middle of a firefight, going, just keep your head down and pray you don't get shot by random area of damage effects, blah, 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 blah. I'm losing my train of topic of conversation here, but there you go. There is the Navigator and the Astropath. And if you're going by the lore established by Rogue Trader and the Warhammer 40,000 Universe 4, you would never play one of those character classes. At all. I mean, granted, the Navigator in the Night Lord trilogy is an amazing character. However, why? Why would you get off the ship? The ship is the safest place to be. Why would you become... I get it in the Star Trek sense. Oh, of course all the named characters go down to the planet as the first expeditionary team, never the unnamed plebs. I get that part of it. I get that part that you are required to do things well below your station to make the game interesting. But when you got an Astropath and a Navigator, both of which are integral to the viewing of the ship, and depending on how you view them with lore, a Navigator is essential to making a ship work. Why on earth would A, you play one, and B, why would you ever get off the bloody ship? Which, admittedly, you can play lots of games on the ship, but eventually you're going to have to get off at some point and do some adventures on the ground. And they're my 3 questions. So, what one game line or game product or game book can you not live without and you do not want to part with under pain of death? What game has pleasantly surprised you compared to your initial impression of it, or has turned you around from its initial impression? And what game book has, or game line again, has basically disappointed you in the fact that you went into it thinking it was going to be okay and you didn't enjoy it, or you did enjoy it but then it's just grated on you over time? Thanks for your time. Bye bye.